Civil war in Burma is the longest running in the world, sometimes called the Forgotten War. How did we get here? This is the history of the world's longest running civil war. Okay, some background here. Burma was a British colony until this man, Aung San, was able to negotiate Burma's independence from the British by signing the Aung San-Attlee Agreement in London after World War II. Aung San had been working for Burma independence for decades, a popular leader and revolutionary. Notably, Aung San also signed a second agreement with the Shan, Kachin, and Chin ethnic minority groups inside Burma. Ethnic minority groups like these are indigenous to huge areas of Burma and have distinct cultures and languages. The agreement signed guaranteed that they would have full autonomy under United Burma. Other minority groups were never even consulted. After setting up Burma's first election and leading his party to victory, Aung San was assassinated by political opposition, leaving behind his colleague U Nu to lead the fledgling government and a daughter, Aung San Suu Kyi. Under U Nu's stewardship, the country saw some economic growth, but there was significant unrest, especially among the ethnic minority groups who were not given the autonomy they had been promised. In 1958, the military junta took over for the first time. General Ne Win installed a caretaker government and purged communist sympathizers. With a taste of power, Ne Win staged a coup in 1962 and the military dictatorship took over for good. During Ne Win's 26-year rule, the constitution was suspended, opposition political parties were banned, the press was muzzled, and the country closed off from the rest of the world. He also tried to force ethnic minorities to bow to the military, dissolving the agreement that was made for their freedom and independence. When these minorities resisted, he began the use of the genocidal Four Cuts policy, using sexual violence, weapons, and arson against minorities, treating them as the enemies of the state. After evidence of the atrocities committed under his regime came to light, Ne Win announced that he would be stepping down in July 1988. Driven by poverty and oppression, demonstrations for democracy broke out around the country, but in response, government troops were ordered to fire into the crowds, killing over 3,000 people. Aung San Suu Kyi, Aung San's daughter, became a leader for the democratic movement. In an attempt to silence her, she was put under house arrest, which she served for 12 years. To relieve international pressure, the military held elections in May 1990, and Suu Kyi's party won in a landslide. The military simply refused to hand over power, instead putting another general, Than Shwe, in charge. In 2007, widespread protests broke out across the country, named the Saffron Revolution, for the color of the robes worn by Buddhist monks, key leaders in this movement. Amongst growing international pressure, the junta pushed forward a new constitution, one that conveniently gave the military an incredible amount of power, even under elected civilian governments. The junta officially dissolved in 2011, and former Army General Thein Sein was appointed president. Despite Aung San Suu Kyi's party later gaining control over the government, by design, it literally had no control over the actions of the military. Stated in the Constitution, the Defense Services has the right to independently administer and adjudicate all affairs of the armed forces. The Defense Services has the right to administer for participation of the entire people in union security and defense. This essentially means that clashes with ethnic minorities and the human rights abuses against them have been allowed to continue. In 2021, the military junta again took official control of the country. Declaring a state of emergency, the junta transferred power to Commander-in-Chief of Defensive Services, Min Aung Hlaing. Declaring the results of the 2020 democratic election invalid, they shut down media, disrupted cellular communication, and found excuses to arrest Aung San Suu Kyi along with 400 members of parliament. This has resulted in widespread protests and increased support for the ethnic minorities, who have been resisting the junta since 1948. Galvanized by the blatant disregard for the democratic process, citizens, mostly young people, have been moving from the junta-controlled cities to join resistant forces in the rural areas. Support has increased for these ethnic minorities around the country and around the world. The junta has begun to lose its grasp on disputed areas, giving up large amounts of territory. There are glimmers of hope that there might finally be a resolution to this conflict. However, in response to added resistance, the junta has responded by increasing rape, torture, property destruction, and attacks against civilians, even using attack helicopter and jets to kill them. It will not let go of power easily, and is willing to use whatever tactics necessary to guarantee their control. Of course, no one knows for sure how this will end, but we know that innocent people will continue to suffer until it does. If you'd like to support the work that I do with the Free Burma Rangers, I've provided some resources and links attached to the video. Thanks for watching.